Authority, special meeting. First item of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Blaine. Whoever that is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Blaine. You're welcome.
Good job.
All right. Let's go right to a new business to start with. First item of business is the resolution before you, 2204, authorizing and approving a subsidy agreement with Lower Paxton Township for the Stormwater Fund GO Bond Series 2022. I do not see Mr. Smita in the audience, so I guess it's you, Mr. Weaver.
It is indeed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you may recall, the finance team, Jay Wenger, and his group presented to the board in January at our reorg meeting a recommendation that we proceed 6 to 8 months early for borrowing our $13.1 million in stormwater fund money due to the threat of the increasing interest rates to circumvent paying for a higher debt issuance. Jay received authorization from the board to get a parameters ordinance done that proceeded, and they basically held true. No major changes to what the authority saw in January. The pricing of the bonds came in right at the estimate, about 3 to 3.1, and the debt service, what he presented in January, $748,000, is basically what the final pricing was. The settlement is scheduled for March 23rd. In order to do the closing, the authority has to subsidize the debt. Mr. Smita has prepared the resolution. It's ready for board action. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions for Mr. Weaver? I think this is something we've already discussed before, and we've had a chance to review the subsidy agreements. But any questions at this point from any board members?
Bill, is this the one that we'd be saving $300,000 to $400,000?
That's the Penvest refunding
That's the
next.
Penvest. Okay.
We did save a good bit of money on this debt by borrowing early. In that case, so
Yes.
those
Okay.
savings won't be realized until we see what the rates are in 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Good try, Robin.
I knew it was one of them.
Any other questions from board members? All right, hearing none. Let's do this by roll call vote.
I think we have to make a motion first.
That's yeah, that's true. Is there a motion on the floor to approve Resolution 2204, authorizing and approving the subsidy agreement?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-04, authorizing and approving a subsidy agreement with Lower Paxton Township for the Stormwater Fund GO Bond Series 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zumas. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I think we could go to a roll call vote.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mr. Judd?
Aye.
Mr. Zumas?
Aye.
Mrs. Lindsay?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Oaks?
Mr. Ramsey.
Mr. Ramsey.
All right. Motion so carries. All right, moving on to the next item, Resolution 2205, authorizing and approving a subsidy agreement with Lower Paxton Township for the GO Series Bond Series 2022 Sanitary Sewer Penvest loan refunding. Mr. Weaver.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, this was presented to the authority by our finance team at the January meeting. They recommended at that time that we move ahead with refinancing our Penvest loan, which is unprecedented. It's never been done before. The total amount is $5,490,000. What they presented, again, in January, pretty much held true. The savings per month is $31,000. As Ms. Lindsay said, the total savings is $334,659. And those prices are locked in for settlement on March 23rd. So that's a significant savings for this refinance. And obviously, staff recommends the board consider 2205. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Is there any questions for Mr. Weaver? This meeting's moving right along. Hearing none, is there a motion on the floor to accept Resolution 2205, authorizing and approving the subsidy agreement with Lower Paxton for sanitary sewer Penvest loan refunding?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Judd. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Navarro. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, let's do this by roll call vote as well.
Mrs. Lindsay?
Aye.
Mr. Zumas?
Aye.
Mr. Glenn?
Aye.
Mr. Judd?
Aye.
Mr. Navarro?
Aye.
Mr. Rhodes?
Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along to the next item. Resolution 2206, authorizing the submission of an application to the Commonwealth Financing Authority. Mr. Weaver.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is actually something you have not seen before or in January. This was recommended between the January meeting and today by HRG and their finance team. Essentially, there's a statewide local share assessment grant opportunity for $1 million for the authority for our PC3E project. It's administered by the CFA. The application is due on 3/15. The minimum amount of the grant that you can receive is $25,000. The maximum amount is $1 million. There is no matching funds. Types of projects include sewer and stormwater projects. Grant funds can be used for acquisition, construction, demolition, infrastructure, including water, sewer, stormwater, purchase of vehicles, machinery, equipment, planning, engineering, and other related issues. So it's a very broad spectrum. So HRG presented this to Mr. Gutschall and Mr. Miller and myself, and we thought it would be appropriate to present this to the board. The cost is minimal. The application fee is only $100. The engineering fees are anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000. To get $1 million, I think it's worth a stab. So staff recommends the board consider approval of Resolution 2206, authorizing the submission of an application to CFA, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Weaver?
So this is just a general application? Oh, no. Those are the exact projects. I see. The rehabilitation projects. Okay.
This is actually a project that we're opening RFPs for engineering on Friday.
Yes.
Or we're reviewing on Friday with the committee.
Bill, how long is the process after you apply?
They have a few board meetings where they advise you when your application is going to be considered, but I imagine it's going to take a while. They're going to get there's a high demand for these monies, so it's going to be a couple hundred applications. I would say probably end of this year at the earliest.
Okay.
Just want to say thank you to HRG for identifying this opportunity. I mean, when you presented it to me a couple weeks ago, it just made sense to move forward with this. I mean, if we can get grant funding to use towards some of these projects,
Right.
it's just worth doing. It's worth giving that opportunity. So thank you to HRG for
And
the
this
research.
has been around for a while. Did we just qualify now, or was there something?
Well, actually, I have to get you more information at the March meeting, but this statewide local share assessment is gaming funds, but it's a new program, so I don't quite
Okay.
understand. I'm going
So,
to dig a little more,
Yeah,
but basically,
it's okay. It's a good idea.
You're
That's
right.
okay.
it is a new program.
It's a new
This is the
program.
Yes.
first time then,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion on the floor to approve Resolution 2206, authorizing the submission of an application to the Commonwealth Financing Authority?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Zumas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Navarro. Any further discussions? Let's just do this by voice vote since it's just an application. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right. I am going to, at this point, we can make a motion to adjourn, and I can turn it over to the real Lowman Henry. Wow, the name tag on the front says Lowman Henry. I wish, I can only wish I was Lowman Henry. Unfortunately, I am not. I can turn it over to the real Lowman Henry. Is there a motion to adjourn this special meeting?
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, we can turn it over to the Board of Supervisors. All right. Good luck to everybody.
Great job. Thanks for coming out.
We are having a meeting in March. I was gonna ask him, he said at the March meeting, so. Mr. Weaver, there is going to be an authority meeting the end of March?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Now that Mr. Blaine has set the bar very high for running the meeting, thank you, David. Okay, and with that, we need to move to the Board of Supervisors meeting. And I will call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order. I'm about to hit this. Okay. And if everybody, well, I know you did it once, but let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance again.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we move into public comment, I would like to announce the Board of Supervisors did meet in executive session prior to this meeting and will do so again following. We discussed personnel matters in the previous meeting. This is a time set aside for public comment. If you are here to comment on an item that's on the agenda, we'll have time for your comment at that point. But if you are wanting to make comment to the board on an item not on the agenda, now is the time to do that. So would anybody like to make a comment on an item not on the agenda? Okay, so everybody is here for an agended item. And we will begin. Declan, you're back. If you, we're going to have to put you on payroll here before long. If you would come up to the podium, and Declan has been here with us before for merit badges, and I understand you've now reached the pinnacle here.
Yes. So, I said my name already, but
There we go.
sorry. You said my name already, but my name is Declan Fletojohn. I'm a Boy Scout with Troop 302, and I'm currently not currently, finished with my Eagle Scout project, which is why I'm presenting today. Can you? Oh, sorry. As I said, I'm a member of Boy Scout Troop 302, which is chartered by Calvary United Methodist off of Locust Lane. And, yeah, completed my Eagle Scout project. So, just some background on what my project, just, I guess, some terminology relating to my project. AAC is augmentative and alternative communication, and there are various communication methods which supplement or replace speech for those with speech impairments. And then nonverbal and minimally verbal people use tools like this to interact with others. This would benefit children on the playgrounds that I put these AAC boards on, so that they can help better communicate with others, such as their parents, family, friends, peers. Now, the graphic on your screen is from a survey conducted by the American Speech Language Hearing Association. It's just the results of their survey. It says 1 in 4 parents of children in the United States aged 0 to 8 have had concerns about their child's ability to communicate. So it shows the widespread need for something like this. No, so I guess no time like the present. So this is the mock-up. Well, not a mock-up. It is the final board, except it wasn't made of this material. It was made of something called ACM, aluminum composite material, which is very similar to, it's about as sturdy as aluminum, but it was cheaper at the time. So, basically, the picture content that we picked, that we used for the board, was decided upon through input from the CAIU, or the Capital Area Intermediate Unit, the AAC specialists that work for them, SLPs that work for them, and then anonymous surveys sent to families within the CAIU, because they serve families who have children and who have children with such needs. The boards also utilize the Fitzgerald modified key, which are how words are grammatically categorized to help children learn language. So I might as well put that now. Okay, so what I accomplished, there's a couple different slides here, but a total of 400 hours were spent on this project between me, my parents, grandparents, volunteers, the Parks and Rec department. My troop deep cleaned. I led my troop in deep cleaning the play equipment at Bright Bill. Throughout my project, we completed trash patrols at all of the work sites, and I also gathered together a team of over 20 adult volunteers to repaint equipment at Possibility Place.
Wow.
So this is just some a couple collages of the cleaning. This wasn't like we'll have more of the results on the next slide, but this is just the day of. So then this is where some of the differences you can start to tell where the dirt was built up, and then once we cleaned, this is what it eventually came out to. There's probably better examples on the next page over. And then, okay, now we're getting into Possibility Place painting. Again, this is just the pre-stuff, but once we get here, this is where you can definitely see a difference. But on the left-hand side, this was just a musical instrument that we repainted, so that it doesn't just necessarily repaint it, but it makes it look better in terms of wear and tear. And then on the right-hand side, it's basically the same thing. It's just the sign above the entrance. And then just more examples. The left is a water mister, and then this is just an airplane that was airplane. More of the same. Okay, so my primary accomplishment, I created AAC boards along with SLPs and AAC specialists in the Capital Area Intermediate Unit. And I led a team of scouts from my troop to in the installation of 13 AAC boards that were split amongst the playgrounds of the 5 biggest parks in Lower Paxton Township. For reference, for the mass we have out there, that would be Coons Park, Lingle Park, Cole Park, Bright Bill, and George Park. What? Coons? I said Coons. Sorry. And then a special thanks to Public Works. They donated signs from signposts that had been in traffic accidents that were still salvageable, and they had so then that also contributed to the conservation effort too. So we're not just using brand new posts; we're using some that had already been processed, if you will. So this is the these are the next couple slides are just going to be a couple pictures from the work days. But this is at Coons Park. And the picture I really want to show you over here is on the far left. There's a girl using the sign. This was not 5 minutes after we set up the sign. She used it all by herself. There wasn't really any prompting or anything like that. But so that if that shows the true. It's the most gratifying and also the most shows the most. What's the word? One of the best reasons that you could possibly do this. And then again, there's more. No, there was yep. So again, more. We did one at Bright Bill, another at Cole, and then 2 at Lingle as well. And since this is an accessible playground with that universal design type scheme, we installed 7 as opposed to the 6 that we sort of spread around the other 4. Since it's the most accessible, and it was decided that it might be the most common place for the kids who might use these to go. That's where we would put that. We put the most there. Continuation of it, and then okay, so QR videos. So we in the process of the board creation, it was determined that it would be a good idea to make an instructional video to go along with these boards. So what we did is we made QR codes that link that once you scan it with your phone, link directly to a video, which is just an instructional video on how to use the boards. So then the families, while they're on the park, can figure out how to use them in case that's something they need, and then provides a resource so everybody knows why they're there and they didn't just appear out of nowhere. All right, awareness campaign, I guess. We spread awareness about the project through an AAC playground informational video to the CAIU. Now, the reason we did this was mainly because, because they serve the families that would use this. As I mentioned earlier, they serve the families that would use this the most. So then they can get the word out through the CAIU. So it's coming from that trusted individual that they know. And then we were also at the Fall Festival at George Park on the 2nd of October, and a Fall Festival at the Capital Area CAIU on the 30th of October as well. All right, so money. I raised a total of almost $1,500 and received numerous supply donations. $854.85 was spent to purchase the 20 signs. Those are the 13 that we mounted, along with the 7 that we gave to the Parks and Recreation Department as replacements. We also bought multiple gallons of paint for the painting and various supplies and equipment that we used throughout the project. The remaining $635.15 were donated to the Lower Paxton Parks and Recreation Department, along with paint and supplies for the accessibility upgrades at Burtville Park. And then a special thanks, and then again, Public Works, huge thank you for their assistance with the polls, but also a huge thank you to the Lower Paxton Township Parks and Recreation Board for supporting this project through the entirety. Even since I meant to bring this up earlier, I started with Mrs. Balk Night, so that was a good 2 years ago, I think. So this has been a work in progress. So just supporting this project throughout this journey, and then the unexpected recognition at the 5-1 Parks and Rec, 1-5 Parks and Recreation Board meeting for my community service. There's an image of the plaque there, and I believe it was Lindsay. They just wanted me to bring it in just to show you.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Ignore the animation. I forgot to check that out. Thank you. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Great job, Declan. Yeah.
Declan, do the Boy Scouts give out a double eagle award? Yeah. Given all that you did, I think you deserve a double eagle. Well, certainly congratulations to you and to your parents and grandparents and your scout leaders. A very, very, very small percentage of boys who enter scouting as Tiger Cubs or Cub Scouts make it to Eagle. I don't remember what the exact percentage is. Something like 1 or 2%, 3%. So you've really achieved something rather extraordinary. So congratulations to all involved. And thank you for everything you did for our community.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, Mr. Henry, back in October, PSATS, Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors, has a youth contest. And I contacted Declan and asked him if he would participate in it. And he said, after I get my Eagle project done. So he did. And 2 weeks ago, I met with him and his mom. We got all the paperwork signed, and the packet is like this thick that he had to submit. So the Dauphin County Supervisor Association is sponsoring Declan in this youth contest award. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in April at the conference in Hershey. Yeah.
Great. Congratulations again. It's amazing.
Good.
It's always good to see. You see so much bad news. It's very inspiring to see something like this. Well, now we have to get back to business. Unfortunately, that was much more fun.
Enjoy Gilligan, Steckland.
We do need to have the first presentation of resolutions providing for the proper administration of coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds, also known as ARPA or ARPA. And Mr. Miller, would you like to explain that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board, before you have the first review of two resolutions to be considered for pass at our business meeting next week in relation to the coronavirus funds, otherwise known in short as ARPA monies. The first resolution establishes that under the final act that was passed by the Treasury Department, those municipalities that received $10 million or less in funds, or that received over $10 million and wanted to designate the $10 million, could make a simple election that would allow them to earmark those funds for revenue loss provisions. Basically, that allows a simplification of the process for using those funds, which cuts a little red tape out of the process. Most entities that have less than $10 million to be receiving will be making that election to ease the administrative burden of the process. The second resolution before you is in relation to a budgetary amendment to address the fact that we have half of the ARPA funds as of now. We will receive the other 50% designation here in July, which will bring us to a total of just over $5.2 million. This would make a resolution to allocate those funds to be used for governmental services, specifically for public safety personnel and related costs. This will allow us to then free the funds from our budgetary provisions in this year's budget, and later we will be able to reallocate those funds to capital projects to meet all of the goals that the Board of Supervisors has in relation to spending these unprecedented federal funds. And again, this is all in a process to reduce some administrative burden and costs for the township, but to also ensure that we'll have those funds available to fund all of the capital projects in the purview, especially those tied with our Parks and Recreation initiative.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Parks and Recreation seems to be getting a lot of money these last couple of weeks. Yes, very good. Board members, do we have any questions of Mr. Miller about this process? All right, seeing none, we will advance that to next week's business meeting agenda. And if my agenda is correct, that brings us down to announcements. Do board members have any announcements? Wow. That being the case, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.